Dog won't stop hugging crying baby. Vet's heartbreaking discovery left everyone in tears. The baby wouldn't stop crying, the father wouldn't stop yelling, and the dog, he just wouldn't let go. Everyone thought he'd gone mad until the vet uncovered the truth. A broken man, a loyal friend, a moment that changed everything. When the dog refused to move, the truth about love and pain finally came out. Before we dive in, let us know in the comments what time is it and where are you watching from. Let's start. The night had turned heavy again inside that narrow house. The clock ticked louder than it should have, the air thick with formula milk, spilled beer, and a silence that always came before shouting. Hannah sat on the edge of the couch, her arms rocking baby Ella, a tiny girl in a white onesie dotted with pastel colors, but nothing worked. The baby's cry cut through the room like a siren that wouldn't stop. Rex, their German shepherd, lay near the crib, ears twitching with every sob. He lifted his head, let out a low whine, and then quietly padded closer. "Rex, not now," Hannah said tiredly, though her voice had no anger in it, only exhaustion. She turned toward the hallway when she heard the uneven footsteps. Mark. He stumbled out from the kitchen, a half-empty bottle dangling from his hand. For God's sake, can't that baby ever shut up? His voice wasn't the man she'd married. It was the one who'd lost everything. Job, patience, and slowly, his kindness. "She's just hungry, Mark," Hannah said softly. "She's a baby." I know she's a baby," he snapped. The sound startled Ella, and she screamed louder. Rex stood instantly, his body tense. Mark's eyes narrowed at the dog. "And you," he hissed, pointing, "don't start your growling again." Rex didn't move. He only stared, not in threat, but in warning. The fur along his neck bristled, his tail low. For a second, Hannah thought Mark might strike again, like he had once before, weeks ago, when a bark had pushed him too far. But he didn't. He just sighed, set the bottle down too hard on the counter, and sat on the floor, his head in his hands. Hannah pressed her lips together. She wanted to help him, but she also wanted to protect the child in her arms, and the animal that still trusted them both. "You need rest," she whispered. "We'll be fine." Mark looked up, eyes red. "Fine? Look at me, hon. I used to build houses. Now I can't even fix my own." He looked at Rex, then the baby, and his voice cracked. "Everything cries around me now." She didn't answer. She just carried Ella to her crib and stood there, watching Rex climb beside the bed like he always did. He rested his head against the bars, watching the baby fall asleep between hiccups. Hannah turned away before Mark could see the tears forming. Days blurred. Mornings were quiet. Nights were chaos. Rex stopped eating much. He'd wait until Hannah fed Ella, then sniff the air and lie back down. He used to love walks, but Mark never took him anymore. "No time," he said. "Too tired." So the leash hung unused behind the door, coated in dust. Sometimes Hannah found Rex in the nursery before dawn, curled up under the crib, tail wrapped close. "You miss her, don't you?" she whispered. He looked up, eyes gentle. She knelt and rubbed the side of his neck. "I miss him too. The old Mark." The dog pressed his forehead against her hand as if he understood. But that evening, everything changed. Mark came home soaked from rain, smelling of smoke and liquor. Ella was crying again. Rex paced near her crib, whimpering. "I can't take this," Mark shouted, "every damn night." He reached for the crib rail, but the baby screamed louder. Rex moved between them, barking once. Sharp, protective. "Back off!" Mark yelled. "Move, dog!" He shoved him aside roughly. Rex didn't retaliate. He just stood his ground again, blocking Ella. Hannah ran forward. "Mark, stop! You're scaring her. Then tell her to stop screaming." His voice cracked under the weight of his own guilt. He looked at Rex again and lowered his hand, realizing what he'd nearly done. The sound of the rain outside filled the silence that followed. Mark turned away, muttering, "I'm becoming my father." He stumbled to the couch and sat, shaking. He used to yell like that, too. I swore I'd never be him. Rex slowly approached, cautious. He nudged Mark's knee with his nose, then walked back to the crib. He climbed halfway onto the couch, tail tucked, and laid his head gently on Ella's blanket. The baby's cries softened instantly. Everyone froze, even Mark. He watched the dog press close, one paw resting lightly across the tiny bundle, his whole body trembling, holding her as if she were his own. Hannah whispered, "He's protecting her." Mark didn't answer. He just stared, eyes wet, as the child's sobs faded into little hiccups. The room fell quiet, except for Rex's shaky breathing. He wouldn't move, not even when Hannah whispered his name. "It's okay, boy," she said, touching his back. But he only trembled more. "Why won't he let go?" Mark murmured. The words came out almost like a prayer. "Why does it look like he's afraid?" Rex finally lifted his eyes. They weren't defiant. They were pleading. He pressed his head closer against Ella's chest and gave a faint whine that chilled Hannah to the bone. Something was wrong, not with the dog, but with what he was sensing. "Mark, call the vet," she said, voice trembling. "Something's not right." "Look at him. He's shaking." Mark didn't move for a moment. Then he rose, grabbed his phone with shaking hands, and dialed. "Yeah, it's urgent. My dog, he won't move from our baby. He's breathing weird." He paused, eyes fixed on Rex. "And he won't stop hugging her." The operator said something he didn't fully hear. He just nodded. "Okay, we'll bring them in." As Hannah packed the baby bag, Mark knelt in front of the dog. "Rex, please," he whispered, "let me hold her." But Rex only tightened his grip, curling protectively around Ella's tiny body as if some unseen danger was still in the room. Mark looked at him, then at the sleeping child whose tiny fingers clutched the dog's fur. For the first time in months, the father's anger drained completely away. In its place came fear and a guilt so heavy it made his voice shake. "What did I do to you, boy?" he whispered. Rex didn't move. He just breathed weakly, eyes half closed, still guarding the baby with the last of his strength. Outside, the rain eased. The vet's headlights appeared at the end of the drive. Mark swallowed hard. "Hang on, buddy," he said, voice breaking. "Just hang on." The clinic smelled of antiseptic and rain. Mark carried the baby in his arms. Hannah followed with Rex draped in a blanket. The dog's fur was damp, his chest rising shallowly. Even now he kept his muzzle pressed near Ella's tiny fingers. "Room 3, quickly," the vet said, holding the door open. His name tag read, "Dr. Miller, mid-50s, calm eyes that had seen too much." Mark laid Rex on the table. "He won't move from her," he said hoarsely. "We tried. He just keeps hugging her." Dr. Miller nodded. "Let's check both of them." He examined Ella first, heartbeat steady, breathing normal. Then he turned to the dog, sliding a stethoscope along Rex's ribs. The room went silent except for the clicking of metal instruments. "Bruising here," the vet murmured. "And here, old and new. Has he fallen?" Mark swallowed. "No, I might have kicked him once. Not hard. He barked too much." I was drunk. The words scraped out like rust. Hannah turned away, tears blurring her vision. Dr. Miller looked up sharply. He's got a cracked rib and internal bleeding. Whatever happened? He took a heavy hit. He lifted Rex's paw and found small splinters of glass embedded in the pads. He broke something to get inside tonight. Mark's head dropped into his hands. He broke the back door. I thought he went crazy. The vet sighed. He didn't. He came in because he sensed distress. He leaned closer to the baby. You said she was screaming? Hannah nodded. Nothing calmed her, not until he held her. Dr. Miller turned the baby gently on her side. Faint redness traced along her ribs. She's fine now, but those marks, too light for trauma, maybe pressure. The dog was shielding her, not squeezing. He probably heard her cry and thought someone was hurting her. Mark blinked through tears. Someone was me. His voice broke completely. I didn't hit her, but I yelled every night. She cried because I scared her. The vet placed a hand on his shoulder, then listened to me. He's been protecting her from the fear in this house. Rex let out a weak whimper. The sound pierced all three of them. Hannah stroked his muzzle. You saved her, didn't you? The monitor beeped erratically. Dr. Miller moved fast. Oxygen tube, IV line, firm tone. He's losing blood. We'll stabilize him. Mark stepped back, clutching Ella against his chest. The baby stirred, no longer crying. Her tiny hand reached toward the table, grasping at the air where the dog lay. Mark felt the small fingers tighten around nothing and realized how completely he'd failed them both. Will he make it? Hannah asked. I'll try everything, the vet said, but if he pulls through, he needs calm. No shouting, no tension. He's been carrying your baby's fear inside his own body. Mark nodded, eyes red. Whatever it takes, I owe him my life. Hours passed. Dawn crept through the blinds. The bottle on Mark's kitchen counter was gone. He'd poured it down the drain before they left. He sat beside the kennel where Rex rested under a white sheet and warm lamp. The machine beeped steadily now. Hey, buddy, Mark whispered. You did good. Rex's tail thumped faintly. Mark slipped his hand through the bars, and for the first time since the layoffs, his fingers stopped shaking. When Dr. Miller returned, he smiled. He's strong. Another day of fluids, and he'll be home. Mark exhaled for what felt like the first time in months. He looked at Hannah holding Ella, then at the vet. I don't know how to thank you. Start with him, the vet said. He doesn't need words, just better days. A week later, the house sounded different. No shouting, the TV low, the windows open. Mark walked slowly down the hallway carrying a leash. Rex waited near the crib, healed enough to stand, but still thin. The baby cooed from her blanket, bright eyes following him. Ready for our walk, soldier? Mark said softly. The nickname made Hannah smile. Rex wagged his tail once and looked back at the baby. Mark understood. Go on, he whispered. She's safe now. Rex padded to the crib, pressed his nose gently against Ella's tiny hand, then turned toward the door. They walked beneath a gray morning sky. Mark spoke quietly as they moved. I was angry at everything, lost my job, lost my pride. But you never gave up on me. You kept this family together. Rex trotted ahead, ears perked, no leash pulling needed. When they returned, Hannah met them at the porch with Ella in her arms. She's been waiting for her guardian, she said. Mark knelt beside the dog and touched his collar. Guardian, that's what he is. Rex leaned into him, resting his head on Mark's chest, and for a moment the world shrank to the sound of a baby's soft laugh and a father's quiet promise. No more anger. Ever, the camera would have captured it exactly as it was. A once broken man kneeling beside his loyal dog, his daughter between them, sunlight finally touching the walls of a house that had learned to breathe again. This story broke your heart too. Don't scroll away. Like, share, and comment a heart for Rex. The dog who proved love is stronger than anger. Subscribe for more true cinematic stories that remind us sometimes the hero doesn't speak, he just stays.